have to. All right, this is video 2. This is about solving equations. In the first video, we talked about writing both expressions and equations, but now we're going to move on to solving. So let's look at a couple vocabulary reminders. These are not on your notes, but I just want you to make sure that you understand that. Remember, with an expression, I told you that I would have to give you the variable, but with an equation, you're going to have to solve it. So now we're talking about a solution. So if I want you to find the solution to an equation, you're going to have to figure it out. So what I mean by this, if you look at this example, 12b or 12 times b equals 48. Well, 12 times what number gives me 48? That would be 4. So 4 is the solution. There will only be one solution for that variable. Only one number will make that variable correct. All right? The other one is to solve. If I want you to solve for an equation, that means I want you to solve for whatever that variable is. So I want you to figure out what the variable is. All right, so that's what this whole video is about, is you being able to solve equations. All right, so let's look at your notes. Go ahead and go to your notes now, solving for a variable. So if I have this equation, x plus 3 equals 5. I know a lot of you right now are already saying the answer, but I'm going to show you the steps that are involved in solving these equations. I know a lot of you are not going to want to write the steps, but too bad. You're going to have to write them down because this is getting you prepared for future years, even next year in 8th grade and even into 9th grade algebra. You're going to need to show these steps. So it's important that you get accustomed to that now, even when they're really easy problems. All right? So the first thing when I look at an equation, the first thing I want to think about is you need to get this variable by itself. You want to think of this equation as like a balance. So if you see this balance beam right here, so you think of this as kind of like a balance. Everything on this side should equal this side. So that's why the balance would equal each other. So in order to solve what this variable is, I need to get this variable by itself. All right, so in order to do that, I've got to somehow get rid of this. All right, in order to do that, we're going to do what's called the inverse operation. So this is on your notes. An inverse operation is an operation that undoes another one. So go ahead and write that down. It undoes another one. So what exactly do I mean by that? It undoes another operation. Okay. When we're talking about inverse operations, to undo an addition equation, you're going to subtract. To undo subtraction, you're going to use addition. Doesn't that make sense? Addition and subtraction are opposite of each other. And if I want to do a multiplication, then I'm going to use division. If I have to undo division, I'm going to use multiplication. All right, so on your notes there it asks for examples of inverse operations. So if you just want to write that addition and subtraction are inverse, and multiplication and division are inverse. Okay, you can think of inverse as opposites of each other. I think that's a little bit easier for you all to understand the word opposites. You know that addition, subtraction are opposite, multiplication and division are opposite. Okay? All right, so now let's go ahead and let's solve some equations. All right? All right, so if I look at this one, again, I want to get the variable by itself. So here is my problem. B minus 5 equals 18. So I want to get rid of this minus 5. So I need to think of what is the opposite, or how do I undo subtracting 5? Well, the inverse of subtracting, or the opposite, is to add. So I need to add 5 to both sides, because on a balance you have to do the same thing to both sides so that it continues to balance out. So this is what I want you to write down. Actually, I'm going to show you this one. You're going to do an example in a second. So do you see how I wrote 5 on both sides? So on a balance, you got to do the same thing to both sides so that it continues to stay balanced. So when I have a minus 5 and a plus 5, that just cancels out. So there's nothing left here, and all I have left is b, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted b by itself. Equals, and then 18 plus 5 is 23. So this is my solution. B equals 23. So you would always go back and kind of check. So 23 minus 5. Does that equal 18? Ding, ding, ding. Yep, it does. So 23 is my solution set. Okay? So this right here, writing this step, I want you to do that. I want to see that the whole time. Okay? I know some of you want to do it by yourself or don't have to write it down, but too bad. You got to write it. All right, so x minus 5.6 equals 25. You have this one on your notes, so let's go ahead and do it together. So if I have a minus 5.6, the opposite of subtracting would be to add 5.6. So I want you to do this. Uh-oh, remember when you come over here, you have to line up those decimal places. So plus 5.6. Okay, make sure you wrote that down. Then you're going to draw a line. Now a minus 5.6 and a plus 5.6, those cancel out. So if you want to just kind of draw a line through that. And all I have left now on this side is my x equals, and then 25 plus 5.6, that's 0.6. That's 0, 30. 30.6. So I'm just going to go back and check. 30.6. You don't have to write down your check here. 5.6, that equals 25. So yes, this is a solution set. Okay? All right, so those were subtraction problems. Let's move to addition. All right, so if I have y plus 17 equals 74, I need to be asking myself, I want to get y by itself, so how do I get rid of this plus 17? How do I get rid of it? Well, I want to do the opposite of adding. So the opposite of adding is to subtract. So I'm going to subtract 17. You don't have this on your paper. You're just watching right now. So a plus 17 and minus 17, those just cancel out. So all I'm left with on this side is y equals, I'm going to have to borrow here. So that's 7, that's 57. So mentally I'm going to check 57 plus 17. Yep, that'll give me 74. So this is a correct solution set. All right. All right, you have this one. Let's do this one together. So p plus 23 equals 81. The opposite of adding 23 would be to subtract 23. I want to see this on your paper. So adding 23 and subtracting 23, that just cancels out. So all I have left with is p on this side. Make sure you're writing this down. I'll slow down. Equals, and then 81 minus 23. So I'm going to have to borrow here. And there's my 11. My pen's going a little nuts here. So that's 58. So 58 plus 23, yep, that gives me 81. So that's a correct solution set. Okay? All right, so we just did addition, subtraction. So you've got 4 problems. I want you to pause the video. I want you to do them. I want to see all those steps. All right, come back when you're finished and check your answers. All right, check your answers. Again, I want to see those steps. All right, let me know if you have some problems with those. All right, let's move on to multiplying and dividing, which are the opposite of each other. So let's look at this one. If I have x divided by 7 equals 35. So I want to get rid of dividing by 7. So the opposite of dividing by 7 would be to multiply by 7. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 7. Sorry, my multiplication sign there. I don't want you to think it's a variable. So dividing by 7 and multiplying by 7, they cancel out. So all I'm left with is x equals, then I need to multiply here. So that's 35, carry my 3, 21, 22, 23, 24. So 245, if I were to divide it by 7, that would give me 35. That's correct. All right. All right, let's do the one on your paper. Y divided by 4 equals 14. So dividing by 4, the opposite of dividing by 4 would be to multiply by 4. So I want to multiply by 4. So write that on your paper. So dividing by 4, multiplying by 4, that's going to cancel out. So all I'm left with is y equals, now let's go ahead and multiply. That's 16, carry my 1, 56. So 56 divided by 4, Yep, it's going to give me 14. So this is a solution, correct solution. Okay? All right, let's move to multiplying. Multiplying is pretty much the easiest one. So 6x equals 24, or 6 times something gives me 24. Okay, again, the opposite of multiplying would be to divide. So I'm going to divide. So I'm going to show my division by going like this. Remember, at the fraction bar, that is a division sign. Okay? So 6 divided by 6, that cancels out. So all I'm left with is x equals, and then 24 divided by 6 is going to give me 4. So let's check it. 6 times 4, that equals 24, so I'm good. All right, let's do yours on your paper. 4x, or 4 times x, equals 36. The opposite of multiplying by 4 would be to divide by 4. If this confuses you, you can just put your little divide sign too. That's fine. So 4 divided by 4, that's just going to give me 1, or 1x, equals, and then 36 divided by 4 is 9. So 9 times 4 does give me 36. Okay? I think multiplying is definitely the easiest one. All right, why don't you go ahead and do these 4 problems, these multiplying and dividing problems, and come back when you have your answers. All right, check your answers. Again, I hate to be a broken record, but I want to see all of those steps. Okay? All right, now let's just kind of put it all together. I've got 4 problems for you. They are on your notes as well. 4 problems, 1 addition, 1 subtraction, 1 multiplication, and 1 division. Go ahead and pause the video and do these 4 problems. And check back when you have your answers. Remember, when solving these problems, you always want to ask, what's the opposite, or what's the inverse operation that I need to be doing in order to solve for that variable? All right, check those answers. Remember, you should always know that these answers are correct, because you should be going back and checking them and plugging them in and making sure they work. All right. All right, let's move to the last part. Okay, last one is your exit slip. Sorry, this one has gone long, guys. But you've got 5 problems. You're going to do this on your exit slip. Make sure I need to see all their steps. And also, guys, you need to show this to the teacher before you move to the worksheet or the activity. You have to show this, okay? All right, hope you have a great day.